guys' moment of truth. Let's go back to first Super Bowl. I don't know. Can you remember that far?
Yes, I can.
We can probably come up with some video to remind you. But let's go back to your first Super Bowl and tell me what that was like.
Well, first of all, in our Super Bowl 27, let me tell you, we got to practice in L.A. at UCLA. Dude, I promise you, man, I don't think to this day I've ever seen a more perfect practice that week. Because we were a fresh team. We hadn't had any experience. Everybody, we had the most incredible practice. Not a ball hit the ground. And then we went into the game, I was like, I know we're going to connect on every play because we did it in practice, and we did. We were connected on every play. And those touchdowns they're showing me, I remember scoring that touchdown and thinking, I just scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I've only done that a million times in my front yard, but I've actually just done it in a real Super Bowl. It's an incredible moment.
And you talk about the first experience, the very first one, that wasn't a good one.
That's the one, Will.
That's the one that wasn't a good one. And it was a blur. We lost to the Green Bay Packers, of course, and it seemed like I got caught up in the Super Bowl experience instead of the game. And a lot of times you have young players, which was my second year in the league, and you had a lot of things going on. I had 30 tickets that I used all for family. I was going to all the dinners, the media obligations. I was excited to be there. I was taking it all in, but it just seemed like I didn't focus enough on the football game. And when the confetti started to come down and they started to usher us off the field, get off the field because we need to make room for the winners.
For the champs.
For the champs. I just said to myself, if I ever got in position again, I would focus and tune everything out, and I would just focus totally on the game. And I was able and lucky enough to do that.
That is a moment of truth when the confetti falls for someone else and you go, okay, never again. But what I remember about
Thank God I never felt that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's my turn. Quit rubbing it in. All right. What I remember is how long the week was. You know, how I couldn't wait for the game, but every time you turn on the TV, it was about the game. Every time you walked out of your hotel room, there was a million fans that remind you about the game. You couldn't run home and hang with the kids or have dinner with the family. It was just all football all the time, and I just couldn't wait for it to get there. But I remember the moment of truth was when I ran out of the tunnel. And, you know, you see it at every Super Bowl is run out of the tunnel and flash bulbs are going off, and you're going, okay, now I understand the magnitude. And then when I took that first snap, you know, because you don't realize it's just like any other game until you take that first snap and you settle in and you go, oh, okay, I know the ramifications are bigger, but it's just football again, and you could settle in, and that was really the moment.
Settled in so early, Kurt. That's one thing. It took me forever to settle in. I was like, I had to slow my breathing down, man, and remember to breathe. Okay, breathe, Michael. Calm it down. That blew my mind.
You still do that before every show. We got to settle you in anyways. But hey, let's go out to a couple of our other Super Bowl teammates in Mike Robb, Steve Smith. Talk to me about your first Super Bowl and that moment of truth for you guys.
Well, I know for me, guys, being in the Super Bowl, being in New York, it was cold, kind of like it is out here. And all week, Steve, Pete Carroll, you had us practicing halftime, and you know we were like, "What are we doing? Why do we keep practicing halftime? You know, halftime is double, it's 30 minutes during the Super Bowl. And our first 10 minutes we had to ourselves. Our second 10 minutes was with the coaches, and our last 10 minutes warmed us up to go out. And dude, when we went out that tunnel for the second half, it felt like the first half. It felt like we were starting a new game all over. They kicked it to Percy Harvin, and that's when I knew the game was over, dog. He took that thing to the crib. We started saying bling, bling. You know what I mean? We knew the ring was coming.
I mean, I remember vividly my first and only Super Bowl was the important night before meeting. Dan Henney said, look around, guys. Understand that you will no longer be in a meeting ever again with everyone in this meeting. Everyone will go their separate ways. Some guys will retire. Some guys will go to different teams. And some guys, this is where their dream may end.
Yeah.
So appreciate it. Understand it. Relax. Have fun. Eat snack with your fellow brothers, because after this, it's a whole new ball of wax and it's a whole new batch of guys coming in. And I didn't understand that. And we got close NFC Championship games, playoff games. But you know what? Every NFC Championship game and every playoff game, there was a different 22 men in that meeting room. And it just sparked me. And every time I sat in that meeting, I believe it. Now, my second Super Bowl, as analysts, again, sitting in a different meeting room.
There it is, man. Hey, Kurt, man, you got our experiences in our first Super Bowl. We're going to send it over back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. I love it. I love it when we all get to, and I get to hear your guys' experience, because I know, as Steve was saying, it's always different. It's different for all of us. But that moment of truth, it's going to be a moment of truth for a lot of guys coming out of these tunnels today. For more on that, let's go up.